Can you just introduce yourself as usual?
My name is Eric Parker, founder and president of the Real 3% of Idaho.
Okay, and candidate for?
District 26 Senate.
Okay. What's the campaigning like right now?
It's tricky.
Yeah, I was kind of curious about that. I haven't really been out much for that, so.
I think, a lot of people tell me it's really hard to do right now, but it's my normal, right? I've never campaigned before, so I don't know what it's like without COVID. Trying to do a lot of one-on-one meetings, trying to do a lot of phone conversations, small gatherings, trying to do all those things, a lot of outside meetings. Luckily it's nice out, we can get outside and meet in the yard and stuff like that, social distance, and trying to be responsible, but trying to win a campaign too.
Right. That's a tough balance right now, I imagine, for any candidate.
It is.
You mentioned something on stage I'd like to hear a little more about. You talked about election day, people being ready. Are you concerned about, you talked about transition, are you concerned about that? And can you tell me what your concerns are?
We've got a lot of different factions of guns in America. They've all got different ideologies, whether they're white nationalists or black nationalists or any of the above, right? I consider them all one thing. They're accelerationists. I think whether Trump wins or loses, there's gonna be strife. That's my gut. There was last time. We've got a lot of strife building up to November right now. It's already pretty hectic. My gut and the people I talk to, which are pretty informed. I mean, a lot of these guys are military intelligence guys, and they say, listen, November's looking scary. It's looking scary. It'll probably be all right in Idaho. We're always usually okay in Idaho. Idahoans don't necessarily want to fight it out in the streets with guns. We have law and order for that reason, and we expect our law officials to do their job. Having said that, I think we're going to see a lot of strife around the country, and it's going to affect us in other ways too. And it may downright come here, places like Boise and Caldwell and Nampa. So it is a concern. It is a concern that we're looking at, and we want to be organized and prepared for, not in any kind of offensive way, but a defensive way, a community-based defensive way.
And then, so when you talk about in a defensive way, what would an organization like yours, what would your role be then? What are you preparing for and to do?
I don't think we're preparing for or to do anything besides watch our communities and be prepared to defend them. I preach neighborhood watches. For example, if you're in a city like Boise, and we have a member in that neighborhood, we tell that member, hey, you need to go to your door-to-door, and you need to bring back Neighborhood Watch. That's all. It might be Neighborhood Watch on steroids, it might be Neighborhood Watch with comms and lookouts and all kinds of fun stuff, but it's just Neighborhood Watch. What we're talking about, I mean, if we see it in Washington, and we see it in Oregon, and we see it in Utah, and we see it, they've said, go out of downtown, leave the cities, go to the neighborhoods. That makes people nervous, right? And we're seeing them actually do it. It's not like it's just a threat. We're seeing them actually do it if they're paying attention. And the idea that people aren't safe in their neighborhoods, that their property isn't safe in their neighborhoods, we have a problem with that. That's a problem. Every American, right, left, blue, red, yellow, green, should have a problem with that. And we mean to organize to defend each other.
And I mean, is that potentially armed defense if property is in danger? I mean, what does it look like?
Okay, is it possible armed aggression?
Well, I'm asking. I don't
know either. I mean, if the aggression is armed, then the defense should be too, right? I mean, that's my thought on it. That's my thought process. I think it's a lot of other Americans' thought process too. If you've got a man coming at you with a knife, you better hope you have a gun, right? That's the American way.
Right. And then when you talk about transition, obviously we've had peaceful transitions every time.
Not necessarily. Last times there was riots, burning in the streets. They rioted in D.C. Don't sugarcoat it, Pete. It wasn't last time.
Okay, fair enough. But the transition of power happened with both candidates accepting the results. I know some people are worried about that this time. You mentioned the transition Do you see a role for your organization if there is a problem with transition? Do you see like a role there beyond civil defense? Is there a role in ensuring transition?
I don't think we would have that authority, but I mean, I would point you back to Athens, Georgia.
Okay.
There was a sheriff. This was after World War II, I believe.
Okay.
Sheriff was doing an election. He took the box with all the names and he took it back to his sheriff's office instead of doing it in front of everybody.
Sure.
All those armed veterans went home and got their rifles, and they had a shootout at the sheriff's department until they got the box out and they opened it and counted it in front of the Americans. That happened. Can it happen again? I'm a history buff. I say if we don't pay attention, of course it can.
You're not taking it for granted.
No,
Right.
no, absolutely not. Is that something we would go do? I hope it wouldn't be necessary. I hope it wouldn't be necessary. But having said that, I think our organization's role is to look around our communities, our state, for any gap and fill it.
Mm-hmm. Are you seeing people answer that call?
By the hundreds. By the hundreds, Heath.
And is that
People, right or left, again, right or left, we are moving so quickly away from that paradigm and more towards the understanding of independent liberty and individual liberty. It's shocking to me. I was in a meeting yesterday evening, last night, and this is in North District 26, right? And this is a bunch of what would be assumed to be progressive liberals with concerns. They have concerns, and I'm in the room talking to them. So, that's not something that would have happened 4 months ago, 5 months ago.
sure?
So the paradigm shift is definitely there, and people are concerned. They're concerned what government thinks its authority is, and what it can and can't do. They're worried that law enforcement isn't going to protect them when government is the one coming and forcing them to do things. So that's an issue. That's an issue. It's against our fundamentals. And the more, sorry about that.
That's
the
all right.
The more that happens, the more jaded everybody's going to become, and the more united that whole left-right paradigm things, it's going to go right out the window when everybody realizes that we're all Americans in Idaho, we're all Idahoans, and we want our individual liberties.
That's interesting. So you think in a way what's happening in the U.S. right now and the uncertainty and instability might be bringing people together?
I know it is. I know it is. I know the media, no offense, I know a lot of the mainstream media wants to hit on that hard tension, race, this and that, but we're seeing it already. Now Americans will go there when provoked, right? And we all got tension and anger built up with lots of history, but we're already seeing it start to come back. We're already seeing, the videos of a black man kicking down the BLM's barricade, Antifa's barricade in the streets, yelling, "Hey, all lives matter. What are you guys doing?" Right? So I believe that with that tension, there's always an equal and opposite reaction, and Americans always double down and unite, no matter what.
Now, kind of along those lines, I saw you quoted the other day in the AP talking about Portland, and maybe a sort of surprising take for some people. You seem to kind of be understanding of the federal deployment there, and that kind of seems like the kind of thing that I would have guessed you would have been very disturbed by. Can you kind of explain?
I'm disturbed by it. Don't get me wrong.
Okay.
I'm disturbed by it. Now, is it justified or not? Right? I don't think, like we made a post the other day about Article 1817 in the Constitution. If you look at the Constitution says the government can only own 10 square miles. It's DC. It says it, forts, ports, and other needful buildings, right? Nothing about a courthouse. I think there should be one courthouse, one federal courthouse, and it should be in DC. So should that building even be there for them to have to come defend? Mm-hmm. That's where I would go with that conversation. But, of course, AP is not going to put that out. It is now, though, that I've said that, if they have to protect their building from being burned down, they have to protect their building from being burned down, right? I get where they're coming from. I don't think they should be in Oregon period.
You think they shouldn't be there in the first place, but given that they are there now, you see the need for the deployment with what's happening? I don't want to put words in your mouth.
No, I know, and I know I'm kind of all over the place, but it's an all over the place situation, isn't it? Right? I mean, so should the building be there? I don't think so. Should the feds have any authority over a spot in downtown Portland? No, I don't think so. It's just my opinion. It's just one I hold due to values and constitutional law. Okay, but having said that, there are people who are trying to burn the building down that you and I paid for, by the way, and they're going to stop them. That's what's going to happen, right? I just pray and I hope every night that I'm not seeing what I think I'm seeing, which is leftist militia and Marxist communists leading federal agents away from that building a little further every night, getting ready to ambush them in the streets of Portland. But mark my words, it may happen. It may happen. And I'll tell you, honestly, my no nonsense opinion, like flat out bottom line, I don't have a dog in that fight. The feds are arrogant, and I don't like Marxists. So if they want to all have it out in Portland, by all means, it's pretty here in Idaho today.
So what would you say? You know, I've had listeners who saw that, and they've written to me and been like, he's got the jackbooted thugs on the ground beating up Americans. Why isn't he there? Like they see that as hypocritical. So
why didn't I go to Portland?
Yeah, and why aren't you? Why aren't you?
Dude, there's no
coming down
Batman signal,
Right.
right? They can't put up a bat signal every time there's oppression where I'm going to jump in my frickin' Ford and drive with 4 guys to stand and go and get indicted again. Do it yourself. If you don't like it, get out there and stop them. It's easy. You take the high ground and you say, please go away. You do not fire unless fired upon. That is the formula. Now, if you've got the guts to go do it, by all means. I've played that game. I went through the indictment. Have fun. But don't shoot anybody. Remember, don't fire unless fired upon.
Right. And do you think that they are not following those sort of rules of engagement there?
No, I don't. You know, not from what I've seen in the videos.
Anything else?
No.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks a lot.
No problem, Heath.
Good to see you, man.